Start the activity. Everyone pull up your worksheets. We'll get back to Try for Charity. I want to get the kids stuff. You guys, let's start with a huge thank you. Thank you to everyone for participating in this magical event and bringing your children along to learn about giving. Here are some pictures that you've shared with us. We are so grateful. We have done something incredibly remarkable, and I feel proud, and I really admire what we've done. Here are some pictures of us. Here are some more pictures of us. And in fact, it's been such a magical experience that some of the kids on this call have actually shared that they are inspired to do more outside of Try for Charity and plan to assemble their own hygiene kits to keep in cars so that they can hand out to folks as needed. Thank you so much for participating. All right, we're going to start with kids trivia. We're going to write our answers in the chat. It's probably the best way to do it. We're going to write our answers in the chat. So the first question is, we had 125 families who assembled 20 kits each. How many total kits did we assemble for people who need them? All right, let's see some of the answers. 2,500, 2,501, 2,500. Correct. The answer is 2,500. Good job, everyone. All right, next question. 2,500 kits, you guys. All right, next question. We will donate the kits to 3 nonprofits. How many will each nonprofit get to help people? Nice. Here we go. 833. The Merrills went for 7 decimal points. Thanks for that. Rachel and Karina. 833 plus 1. 833 plus 1. Terrific. That is the answer. It's 833. Good job. Can you name some of the items in the kits? Yes, Anderson family. Toothpaste, sunscreen, deodorant, gum from the Sherry family. Diana comes through with gum too. The Myers Van Dries family, chapstick, combs, lotion, sunscreen. Yes, so many things. So many things. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Next question. If an average adult mouth, tissues, thanks, Maddie. If an average adult mouth has 32 teeth, how many teeth will be brushed with the toothbrushes we donated? The Slaters come through, Kirsten, the Myers Van Dries, the Merrill family. Not quite, Lawless family. It's 80,000. The answer is 80,000 teeth will be brushed with the toothbrushes that we donated, assuming that everyone has 32 teeth in their mouth. 80,000. Perfect. Next. If each kit contained 2 pairs of earplugs, how many ears will be plugged with the earplugs we donated? It's like a tongue twister. If each kit contained 2 pairs of earplugs, how many ears will be plugged with the earplugs we donated? All right, we've got 10,000 for 5,000 ears, 10,000, 35. Oh, this one's, it's 10,000. Good job. 10,000, 2 pairs of earplugs. Yes. Next, for 2,500 people. What is the length of an average stick of gum? All right, very nice. Raise your hand, 3 inches, 3 inches. Raise your hand if you had a piece of gum to measure or if you Googled it. Okay, let's do, you had a piece of gum to measure. Give me a hand raise. Very nice. I see the Merrill family had some gum. Very cool. I love it. It is, it's 3 inches. It's almost 3 inches. The Anderson family guessed. Good job. Love it. Xander pulled out a piece of gum and measured it for sure. Next, if each comb in the kit is 7 inches long and you line them all up, how far would they go? If each comb in the kit is 7 inches long and you line them all up, how far would they go? 17,500 inches, 17,500. Oh, 1,458 feet. Thanks, Merrills. 42.5 says Xander. 17.5, 17.5, 17.5. 444 meters? Miletus, meters? I don't know what it is in meters. The answer is 17.5 and 1458 feet. And for folks who don't know, Chris, my husband, took it a step further. And just so everyone on the call knows, it's also the height of the Empire State Building. So we donated enough combs to reach the top of the Empire State Building. Fun fact. How many applications will someone get out of one chapstick? 23, 578, or 3,425? Caitlin says, as many licks as it takes to get to the Tootsie Pop. 34.25. Oh, interesting guesses. All right. The answer is actually, according to a YouTube video from a teenage girl somewhere, it's 578. About 578 applications from one stick of lip balm chapstick. Wonderful. Good guesses. Until they lose it, says the Mercers, or eat it. If you've got a child that likes to lick chapstick, it's not going to last as long. Love it. Love it. Thank you. And our last question of the night. How many people will have a brighter moment because of your generosity? This is a trick question. 2,500, Lawless family. Mercers, 2,755, 2,500. A lot, says the Slaters. Rachel and Karina. The Merrills say 4,000. Probably all the answers are probably right. 50,000, says the Wilcox family. 25,000. The answer is 2,500, but actually now that I've said it, it's actually exponential. Look at Amanda and Shira go with, I don't even know. Is that a million or a Google? Just kidding. Thank you so much to all the kids who joined us for this part of the agenda to participate in kids trivia. Now I'd like to see, last thing before we move on. One, I'd like to see all of the colored pieces of paper. So if you colored the backside of the worksheet, show it to us. We want to see it. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. That is beautiful. Look at all these beautiful colored pages. Thanks so much for doing that. Can someone unmute and read what it says? I've forgotten what it says.
I can.
Oh yeah, go Xander.
Mine says, kindness makes the world a better place.
Very nice. And now that I've got him on the call, this is my eldest son, Xander, and he actually inspired Chai for Charity Families, where we assemble kits for those in need. And here's how it went. About a year ago, we were running Chai for Charity, and most of our events were with adults. And he came to me and said, hey, kids have things to give too. Why don't we throw a Chai for Charity for kids? And we threw our first Chai for Charity Families event last January, pre-COVID, where we actually got to gather in person to assemble kits for the homeless. And at that time, we worked with 50 families to assemble 900 kits. And we thought that we'd just, it was amazing. And then this year, thanks to you, we've gathered 125 families to assemble 2,500 kits. But it was because Xander had first had the idea last year. Thanks, Xander. All right. Thank you, children, for joining us. You can stay on the call. The last thing that I want to say is that we have an event coming up, which is actually for your pets. So if you happen to have a pet at home or love pets, they and you are invited to our next event, Chai for Charity Pets, on March 14th. And I will send more information about that in an email after this event.
What do you do?
What?
What do you do?
We can talk about it later, Xander. Thanks so much. You can mute now.
Okay. Bye.
Right. Bye. All right, Illy, it's time for you to introduce yourself.
Okay, I have to unmute. Hi, I am Ileana Sanders. I'm also known as Illy. Most of my friends call me Illy. While Steve is taking the dogs out to go potty, we have two beautiful girls in college. One of them is there, Julia, with her two friends, Claire and Kayla. And Annabella didn't get to make the call today, I guess. So Steve and I, when we were in Arizona, we moved here 3 years ago, and when we lived in Arizona, we're very compassionate about helping the homeless and many other charities, but the homeless charities are really near and dear to our hearts. And so, and it wasn't until I made it onto one of the Chai calls that Amanda West hosted that I was introduced to Natasha a few times at Google events. Can I call you Natalie instead? Anyway, so because of her, we have been able to start working on charities again, which is really exciting. And so I'm so excited with the 3 charities we chose are all affiliated with the homeless and helping the homeless. And so we're so excited to get back into it. So thank you, Natasha. Steve will introduce himself later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring him in. Thank you so much, Illy, for hosting our Try for Charity Families event. So next on the agenda is for us to hear from each of the nonprofits that will receive the kits. And during this call, you'll have a chance to learn about how you can give to each of these nonprofits in 4 categories. And I'll explain how the Try for Charity model works a little bit later. But first, we want to hear from each of the nonprofits. So we'll start with Tiffany at the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany. I'm the Director of Development for the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless, and I am very grateful to be here and to see all of your faces and your families. And just want to give a very brief disclaimer. This is Riley. She does not join me for all things, but right now we're together and on our own. So I apologize if she is a background noisemaker. She has been an active participant in many a conversation about the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless. And so she probably has a lot to say, but she doesn't know how to say it yet. So with that said, the shelter's mission, I'll start with that, is to create avenues to stable housing for our community's homeless adults. And so that really does, that first half sums up what we're doing. And we start by having a foundation of supportive and safe shelter. So that's the second half of our mission. And we really do prioritize in the community. We prioritize folks from Boulder County. We prioritize identifying solutions to homelessness rather than continued shelter. And so we have a number of different programs, but all of them, whether they start from a foundation of very brief, just severe overnight shelter, or long time stay with us, we're always looking for the way to get someone back into a stable situation, because shelters are not sustainable. They're not ideal. So I'm not going to present in any way that shelters are perfect. They're not. For a long time as a country, we sort of accepted that if someone was experiencing homelessness, the best thing, of course, was for them to be sheltered, and that was solving the situation. And it did, in the sense that it meant that they were safe, they were warm, but it doesn't solve the reality that without a home, someone still is unhoused. So we shifted our gears a few years ago and really started saying, what can we do to make an impact in our community to transition folks from homelessness into housing. And it's hard, as I'm sure those of you who are in Boulder County recognize. The housing market is tough. The reality is that cost of living is high and rental market is very tight. And so it's hard to place individuals into housing, but it is amazingly impactful to provide that stability for someone. And so I will give you a bit of a historic data point, and that is that we shifted our gears 3 years ago, and 4 years ago, we averaged, for 4 through 15 years prior, we averaged housing 50 or so people, 45 to 50 people. 3 years ago, when we made our first shift, we housed 72 people. 2 years ago, we went to 119 people. And then this past year, we did drop slightly. We went to 108, but given that COVID hit in March and 9 months of our year was slightly modified, that modification impacted engagement with all partner agencies as leasing up became more challenging, and all things related to housing, including just case management, became more challenging. So we viewed 108 as a tremendous success, given all of the things that 2020 brought. And we are really hopeful that 2021 will bring at least the same number, maybe more. And when we think about that impact over time, those are individuals that we are housing not temporarily, not in a transitional housing program, but in a long-term, supportive, stable environment. And so our hope is that we don't see them come back through a shelter door at any point. And so a few hundred people over a course of a few years is tremendous. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity to talk about what we do. There are lots of other things we do and lots of things you all may have questions about. So I won't keep you further in this moment, and we'll pass along to the next amazing organization. I will also say, we're really grateful to be on this call with both the In Between and Together, because those are two of our great partners in the community, and we all serve similar but different audiences. So really excited to be able to share time with all of you and with them. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And you'll all get a chance to meet Tiffany in a smaller setting after we do presentation. So hold your Q&A, because you get to have some close many-on-one contact with Tiffany and Becca from Together and Laura from the In Between. I wanted to mention that. Next, we're going to hear from Laura from the In Between.
Sorry, had to unmute. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura. Can you hear me okay? Yes? Okay. The In Between of Longmont is an organization that serves people who are facing homelessness, but it's a little different than what the Boulder shelter homeless populations are. While we do serve people who are have no place to go, who may be living on the streets and have no idea where they're going to lay their head that evening, and hope that they can stay at the shelter at night. We're housing people in all different types of situations. Homelessness is not necessarily living on the street. Homelessness can be doubled up with families in overcrowded home situations. It can be in a hotel or motel, sleeping in the car. There's a lot of different scenarios, and we actually had a young mother and her two kids who were camping for several months before they were able to get into the In Between. Her son said to me, "We lived in a tent by the river for 2 years," and it seemed like 2 years to him, but it was a couple of months, and that's a long time to be camping. I don't know about you, but I'm not a camping fan. So our mission is to provide supportive housing, so an affordable, decent housing opportunity for people who are facing homelessness, and give them supportive services so that they can build stability and then have long-term housing after they live with us. So we've been in Longmont serving the St. Green Valley School District area for 27 years. And and we're serving families. We had, let's see how many families we had last year. I'm going to look at we had, I want to say 120 people in the household and 43 families, and 67 of them were children. So we serve a lot of families, we serve couples, we serve individuals of all different ages. We have infants all the way, we've had people that lived with us that were in their 90s. So the way that our program works is we have 6 buildings. They're all apartment buildings. So people live independently in those apartments, and they pay rent in most situations. They pay up to 30% of their income. And they can, in our transitional program, it's 24 months that they can stay with us. So most of the families live in that transitional program. And over that 24 months, they pay 1/3 of their income, and they work and they take life skills classes. We provide them with all kinds of supports and resources so that they can be able to afford to live in the community after they're finished with our program. So they come in, they fill out a success plan, and decide what their goals are, what they want to achieve. It might be credit repair, it may be getting a better job. And we're here to support them and work with them to help them achieve those goals. Then we have another program that's our permanent supportive program, and that's for elderly and disabled people, people who have very low fixed incomes and can't really afford to live in our community because the housing costs are just so high, and they never will be able to because there's not going to be an increase in their income. So we've expanded into more permanent supportive housing over the years. We started out with one 31 unit building, by the way, and now we have 6 units with, or 6 buildings with 87 units. We just bought a building during COVID with 10 more units for our transitional program. And we finished construction on a 6-unit permanent supportive housing building for the elderly and disabled on donated land. And that was finished in January. So yeah, so that's, the expansion's been necessary. We really try to respond to the needs of the community. And then we also have a student incentive program. And so if there are high school students who are identified through the school district who are living in their car or they're couch surfing, they've been displaced from their home, either their parents have kicked them out or there's been some kind of very difficult situation that has caused them to leave home, rather than having them be unsure where they're going to be sleeping and unable to support themselves and stay in school, we give them an apartment to live in, no cost, lots of guidance, and really help them to continue to stay in high school. So as long as they stay in high school and they're getting good grades, they don't have to pay any rent. And we have a food pantry available for them and everyone else. Get them connected with the right resources. And then finally, we have another that's for people who have a lot more needs. They really need a lot more support because they've been living on the streets for a long time and they have some health challenges. And so we also have a program for them. We just started. We have 16 referring agencies. People have to come through 16 other nonprofits, but one of those is the Boulder Shelter. And we just started a new program with them where we're going to have several units, shared units for people, and it's bridge housing. So people will be able to move from the shelter into one of our units for about 90 days until they can identify a longer term opportunity for them. So that's in a nutshell what we do. And when the people graduate from our transitional program, most of them end up in stable housing. Last year it was 91% of the families that found housing. And we do a survey, and they usually are, we do up to 2 years afterwards, and they're remaining stable. So we're really excited to know that people are doing well when they leave our program. So, yeah.
Laura, did you want us to present your video?
Oh, I forgot about the video. Yeah, this is John, and John was in our transitional program, and he graduated into the permanent supportive housing, and he's a single dad.
I have a boy and a girl. Alex, he's 15, and Nevaeh's 10. The high school is actually right across the street for Alex. He just gets to get up and walk across the street for school. Nevaeh school's like 3 blocks from the house. But the kids are really great kids. They have really good grades in school. They have really great manners. I'm really proud to say that about my children. I have some really great kids, and they're doing fine, and I'm glad for the environment that the in-between provides, All right, my name's John Desborough, 47 years old, born in Scottsburg, Indiana. I did architectural sheet metal work. I worked on a lot of the high rises and stuff down in Denver. But I ended up coming down with diabetes and got really, really sick, and my employers, they tried to help me as much as they could. They did everything that they could, but I just, I wasn't physically able to do the work any longer, and eventually lost everything that I had, my home, vehicles, all that stuff. And I was divorced at the time, so the kids were luckily, with their mother at the time when all that happened. Actually ended up in the Boulder shelter. Um, thank God for those people. And I got into a program there that introduced me to the in-between, and that's how I found the in-between. That's been absolutely, God bless. It's a really stable environment, and the particular housing property that we live on, there's just a lot of good people that live there. Everyone pitches in, helps each other. We celebrate the holidays together. I just feel there's more eyes, that's on to help watch my children, to make sure things are secure and okay around, where we're living at. Well, since I initially first got sick, and a lot of my worries is settled down. I got to see the right doctors and got my health manageable and back under control now. Finally was able to put my life back together, with the housing. I mean, that's the major part of it. So my life, changes drastically once I was able to have a home again. To face problems, head on. There's been a few times here that, I have a voucher, but it doesn't pay all of my rent. So there's been a couple of cases where, that I was able to call and say, look, I'm going to be 2 or 3 days late, and they would be like, it's no problem. So I've learned that you don't have to be scared and worried about all, that you can just be honest, give them a call, and everything will work out. If someone offers you a chance to stay on one of the properties at the in between and be involved in their program, and you're trying to put your life back together, this is definitely a place to start. You definitely get a lot of help here. I would definitely, you know.
Thank you so much, Laura.
You're welcome.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for your time.
Of course. And next is Becca Blay from Together.
Hi, guys. I apologize. I'm laying down. I'm not feeling very well. So I'm hoping it's just the flu. Fingers crossed. So I am the events and development manager with Together, formerly Attention Homes. We've been serving the Boulder community for over 54 years now, and we serve youth experiencing homelessness with several different programs. Our goal, our mission is to create opportunities for youth to go into adulthood and have a successful life, whether it be with our drop-in shelter up on Broadway, whether it be with our Chase House, which is our foster care home, or 1440 Apartments, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, which is amazing. And we're at capacity at 1440. We have 41 units for ages 18 to 24. And that program is non-limited housing for youth. So the goal obviously then is to get them into our TLP program, which is our next step, very similar to what Laura does, which would be the transitional living program. And we have many counselors, many people who help the youth go from our programs into their own independent apartments and homes here in Boulder. We help with career opportunities. We help with safety. We help with everything and anything that a youth in danger and need might want and need to get to get back on their feet. So we just rebranded, and so our rebrand party was actually on Tuesday, and the rebrand happened for several reasons. A lot of people thought we were a home building company, but Attention Homes was actually founded by the church, by a lot of people at the church on Spruce Street there, and the First United Methodist Church. And the reason why the name Attention Homes came about was because most of the people who were seeing the youth come in and out of the church, so on and so forth, they were going to detention camps. So essentially it was hence Attention Homes. But again, we knew it was time, and we chose together. We worked with several different companies, and we're just so excited. We're so excited for this movement and this change. And we've served over 12,000 youth during our time. And I look forward to answering any questions in the chat room and the breakout rooms afterwards, for sure. I also want to say thank you so much for joining on this Saturday night. And it's so awesome to see all these families and kids who are showing up, learning about everything that youth go through, and adults go through that don't have homes. So I'm gonna have John play this video, and then I will be available for Q&A after.
A lot of people think, and when you are going through poverty, that like you're supposed to make it out on your own. I needed help, and I feel like it's important that we have a community and that we, do focus on doing things together.
I think we as a community and as a society have an opportunity, if not an obligation, to help young people go on to have productive, great lives. And the more we do that, the better we do for them, but the better we do for our community as well.
I feel like they're a constant support, and like I help support them and they help support me, because we all come from rough backgrounds, and just it's nice knowing that there's other people here who understand.
Together is about sharing the table with young people, their voices, their contributions. This is about education, advocacy, changing the narrative. We can't do this work without the input, contribution, and leadership from young people. Becoming a movement together that can end youth homelessness in our lifetime.
Working with these young people every day reinforces the importance of all of us coming together.
Being in this apartment complex pushes me outside my comfort zone. I interact with people a whole lot more than I would otherwise, so that definitely helps.
Together, the collective impact our community has on young people facing homelessness can be a positive one.
This work doesn't get done without all of us wanting to see these young people succeed, wanting to see them be housed.
If we don't focus on doing things together, I don't think we would be a community if we weren't helping each other.
Together is about collaborative efforts, right, and partnerships. And to end youth homelessness, it takes all of us.
As someone who left home at the age of 15, I have firsthand experience of how unprepared you are for adulthood. I will absolutely support anything I could do to help kids avoid the struggles that I personally had.
What does being together mean to me? Being a functional group of people that works to help better each other.
For me, together means with others. It's a symbol, for me at least, of not having to fear being alone anymore.
We can do this
together.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Becca and Together. Now it's back to the Natasha show. So I mentioned earlier that I'm the executive director and founder of Chai for Charity, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about Chai for Charity. the mission of Try for Charity is to inspire people to give in creative ways. And so about 10 years ago, I was looking for ways to invest my money in local nonprofit efforts, got really excited about the research I was doing and wanted to share it with my friends. I called my friends, my college friends, who had since scattered to parts of North America, and we agreed to run essentially the first Try for Charity on the same day at the same time and collectively raise $6,000 for survivors of domestic violence. And we had started a movement. It was electric. We were going to do a thing. And then 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with my first son, Xander, who you met earlier. And I've been pregnant for about 9 years. I've got 3 sons under 10. And in the years that I wasn't pregnant, I was raising an infant. And I go to my husband and say, we're going to repurchase the domain for Try for Charity because this is the year that we're going to relaunch it. And then we'd be pregnant again or nursing a small child. And so it took us a couple of years to get to our second Try for Charity event. And at that point we were in California, we moved to Colorado, and we ran the second Try for Charity event 7 years after the first one in our backyard. And again, it was electric and we were going to start a movement. And now we've been established for about 2 years and served a ton of nonprofits across the world and inspired a lot of people to give in creative ways. And among our goals are to create a giving model that's as inclusive as possible of people of different socioeconomic backgrounds and generations, because 20-year-old me had lots of time, but no talent and no money. 40-year-old me has no time, but some talent and some money. 60-year-old me will have a whole different version of those things. And thanks to inspiration from Xander, my eldest son, now we also have events that include children so that we can inspire them to give in the ways that honor where they are in their life. And for now, what they have to give is time and their parents' money and goods. So that's why we run Try for Charity Families in the format that exists right now. I want to tell you, so what's unique about Try for Charity is that we invite people to give in 4 categories: money, goods, time, and talent. And John, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the wish list, I'll show you how we're going to invite you to participate in that. So we work with Illy to find nonprofits that meet her passion areas. And then we work with each of the nonprofits to source what they need in those categories: goods, time, and talent. And that's what you'll see here. So I'll send this to you after the event, and you'll have lots of time to make your commitments. But essentially what you're going to do is read through the wish list, and for anything, oh, John is, thanks for demoing, John. So John is going to give gift cards to Boulder Shelter. And what you'll see here is are the categories, the items, and then some details. In addition to that, some of our nonprofits also created Amazon wish lists. So if you get on the Amazon wish list and are feeling clicky, you can start clicking a bunch of things and send them many things on their Amazon wish list. So that's how we accept your donations of, well, they accept your donations of goods, time, and talent. And then they'll also, of course, accept your donations of money. So we will direct you to each of their sites, their donation pages, so that you can donate there if that feels right to you. So next step on the agenda is for us to move into breakout. And I think that Zoom will not let me do that today. So what we're going to do is try and do Q&A as a big group, which I realize will feel complicated. But the good news is that we get to meet a whole lot of people at the same time. So let's try and run Q&A by writing your questions in the chat, and then I will moderate for us. All righty. We also accept praise, virtual high fives, and virtual hugs. I believe all of that is available on Zoom to you today. Also, deliveries of ice cream. Wanted to get it all in. All right. Rachel and Karina are thanking us for introducing us to these great organizations. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Please type a question in the chat here for all speakers. Thanks, John. Big hugs. Thanks, Try for Charity. Lissa. Crumble also serves ice cream. Thanks, Laura. All right. I have a question. I'll start. To Tiffany. What are your 3 top needs?
That's a great question. The Let's see, 3 top needs. I would say we continue, rightfully, as you have pointed out, to always need financial resources. COVID has brought incremental expenses that were unbudgeted, and we did our best to forecast what 2021 would look like. But we were all optimistic for a vaccine even a little earlier than it will be coming, for particularly for our clients. And so our PPE needs remain very high. So we are mask, glove, hand sanitizer needs very high. And we have shifted to having all of our meals in sack lunch form, with the exception of the periodic restaurant donation, or as you will see in the wish list, the opportunity for community members to do something like host a pizza party, and get us out of sack lunches and have our residents be more excited for pizza than all of us are for ice cream. So yeah, I would say maybe Riley's more excited for ice cream. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Laura, what has been your biggest challenge running the in-between during COVID? Laura? All right.
I always
Laura,
forget.
Oh, there you are.
So our transitional housing program is the biggest portion of what we do here at the In-Between, and the families in our transitional housing program are working families, and most of them are working in the service industries, restaurants, janitorial, all kinds of things. I mean, they might even be checking you out in the grocery store. So a lot of those people were impacted pretty significantly. They lost their jobs or lost most of their hours. So, you can imagine having been faced with homelessness once and then losing your job suddenly and being terrified that you're going to lose the housing that's there to support you and stabilize you. And so, we immediately reached out to the community, and the community reached out to us, thank God. And we expanded our starfish emergency fund, which we always have a starfish fund available. So if people have an unexpected repair on their car or other types of things that they need help with, we would be able to do that when necessary. But we expanded it to include rent subsidies, car payments, and bigger expenses. And we were just so grateful to the funding that we received to be able to do that. We ended up subsidizing $23,000 in subsidies for rent over the course of the year. And as you can imagine, that also stabilized our agency because we do rely on the rents that people pay to continue to do what we do. About 60% of our income comes from the rents that people are paying to us. So, we were a little concerned too when all of this happened, but most importantly, we were just very committed to making sure that people remained stable and didn't lose traction on their goals. And so I would say that the other most exciting thing that came out of that is we really decided, because our case managers, we call them housing advocates, were very overwhelmed because people had a lot more needs. There were health concerns. There were a lot of people were fearful. I don't know about all of you, but it was really a scary experience for everyone to not know if your family was going to be well and if you got sick, what was going to happen. So there were a lot of needs and people were stressed. And so our case managers just stayed on the ground. They were available to people. And they were just overtaxed, and really we couldn't do a lot of the life skills classes because of the COVID restrictions. And so we have added a staff position that is now going to specifically coordinate trainings and focus on people's success plans and helping to make sure that everything that we're offering is driven from their needs. And so we're just so excited. We have a new staff member coming on board next month. And we're really just excited to see that move the needle on how well people progress. We'll be able to give them a lot more support with employment services and resume building and just, career building. And we have a scholarship fund too that we've set up that we can help them with applications if they want to get certifications and things like that. So we're really focusing on the internal, how can we really rally behind people who have more challenges than they ever had before because of COVID.
Thank you, Laura. I have a question for Becca, and then we've got some in the chat. Thank you, Shira, Marissa, Justin. All right, we'll get to those in a second. Becca, what are you going to be most proud of at the end of 2021?
I would say that there's two major accomplishments that we've been able to get through with COVID together. I'd say the first is the fact that we didn't lose much on our fundraising side of things, which shows how generous this community is. It's been amazing. And then the second is definitely going to be the 1440 apartments. I mean, and keeping them running safely through COVID. We haven't had any youth test positive. So it's been amazing.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. Shira wants to know if there's, let's ask Laura. Laura, Shira wants to know if there's any need for kids' toothpaste in these types of toiletry bags. She's worried about kids having to have spicy adult toothpaste.
That's a good question. No one has ever asked that question before. I don't think it would hurt. The kids would love that. Kids prefer the bubblegum flavors and things like that. So yes, absolutely. That would be nice to add in there.
Amazing. Thanks, Shiro, for that terrific question. Marissa is asking, some folks are intending to carry their own hygiene kits in cars. What are good things to put in the hygiene kits? Let's have Tiffany. I realize you're feeding Riley. Should we ask someone else? Or are you okay?
No, good.
Oh, good. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I would say one thing to always keep in mind is soft foods are appreciated. The reference to those 80,000 teeth, I can tell you it's not going to be 80,000. Not everyone has a healthy supply of teeth in their mouth that is experiencing homelessness, and that's true no matter their age. But I would say soft granola bars, honestly, something like a banana or a clementine goes so far. And so things that you might consider having as your own snack or just having in the car, because if you have kids in the car, you might have those things in the car for them. Those are things that are appreciated. And often I think have more intrinsic value in that they are an indication that you care enough about their well-being, that you're offering them something to help them sustain themselves, and that isn't just not to minimize a financial handout, but to say, I see you and I care about you, and here is something that can help you today and help you feel better. So I think that kind of thing, like a healthy snack that isn't a nut based necessarily, a crunchy hard snack may not be ideal, but peanut butter crackers, so yeah, that kind of thing.
Thank you so much. Becca, a lot of people have want to get involved during quarantine. Are there opportunities for kids to help that are quarantine friendly?
Yes, absolutely. The biggest the best way to donate right now during quarantine is to actually cook a meal and deliver the meal to either the shelter, Chase House, which is the source, Chase House, or 1440. The next would be like via Zoom. So we do have an awesome classroom at 1440, which we can host. We can host trainings. So if you wanted to speak about, what Google's about, or if you have, if you wanted to teach a sewing class, or if you wanted to teach a guitar lesson. Obviously our youth wouldn't be on the camera, but you'd be on the screen. So those are the two. Yeah, my fiance's kids actually cooked meals for the source during quarantine, so it was awesome.
Amazing. That's really cool. Let's see. What's from Justin? What's something that might surprise us about the populations you work with? Laura? Sorry, I should have said your name first so you were ready. Laura.
Might surprise you. Well, we're not a shelter, and I would say, well, let's see, what would surprise you? It might surprise you to just know that we have a lot of families just like yours, mom and dad are just struggling to keep a roof over their kids' heads, and their kids now, when they live at the in-between, they have a stable place. They know where they're going home to after school, and it can help them to do better in school when they have a stable place to live. They're not anxious and worried about where they're going to go. They also have an education center here with a tutor, so that the kids who are school age can go there and get the extra help that they need. And we've had to do things a little differently because of COVID, but our teacher has worked on doing some hours that are virtual just to get some extra supplemental support. She works with them one-on-one too when she can. And so I don't know if that really answers your question, but it's something a little more about the in-between. And
I think that's terrific. Justin, you can definitely unmute and ask follow-up questions while I also ask Laura if there are kid-friendly quarantine activities that you would recommend for the group.
Are you asking me that?
Yes, I am, Laura.
Oh, okay. That was one of the things I put on the list. The wish list was laundry detergent packets. And that is definitely a quarantine family friendly thing that you can do. Sometimes groups will take a little sandwich baggie and put a one load size amount of powdered laundry detergent, and then they throw in a dryer sheet and seal it up. And laundry detergent is very expensive, so we really try to help people to reduce their expenses so that their money goes to moving forward. And so, putting together those laundry packets so we can put them in the laundry rooms for people to use, so they don't have to buy their own.
Can I say your prescription pills, where your prescription comes in, that's a really good little capsule for laundry detergent, shampoos, conditioners. That's what we used to fill up in Phoenix.
Great idea. Love it.
Thanks, Lily. Thanks, Laura. Tiffany, are there any kid-friendly quarantine activities that you would recommend for us to help you?
I think that the hygiene kits are our dream because we serve so many different individuals, and some we serve for one night, some we serve for many. And we also do outreach, and so they are universally used across all of the things that we do. And snack bags are similar. So any sort of small kit assembly. And again, with snack bags, thinking about the soft foods, or like a fruit cup and a spoon. Sometimes the fruit cup is thought of and the spoon is forgotten. And you can absolutely eat a fruit cup without a spoon, but it's a little more dignified to assume that people might want a spoon, just like you might want a spoon. So that sort of thing. Being assembled and being able to provide snacks when people are going out for the day, that kind of thing that we can't do unless we have donations to be able to do that.
Amazing. Thank you, Tiffany and Riley.
Yes. I was a big fan of the fruit cup, apparently.
Who could blame her? Becca, what sort of unique challenges this is from Justin Buchanan. What sort of unique challenges do you see with people who are still in high school that come through your program? A good friend was emancipated in high school, and he saw firsthand how difficult that can be.
That's a great question. that would be an awesome question for our case managers. But from what from sitting in on meetings, I would say just support, just being heard, being understood for who they are and accepted for who they are. Right.
Totally. Laura, is there anything you would add to that?
No, I think again that it's the best question for our housing advocates or case managers, but I think planning for the future too, teaching them independent living skills, learning to cook, learning to budget their money, really manage their time effectively, and then helping them to figure out are they going to go to college? Are they going to learn a skill so that they can support themselves later? Yeah.
Amazing. John asked if there are any policies, upcoming laws or propositions maybe, that we can help support in terms of supporting our homeless population. Anyone unmute, and I'm not sure who to direct it to.
I think the best answer to that will actually come, maybe I can send you a link to include in the post-event comms. Yes is the answer. The short answer is yes. There are many, but the current administration does have a very, very significant budget proposal ahead of them for programs that would support unhoused individuals, and that is individuals of all ages. And so it works toward supporting rental assistance, keeping people in housing. We know the eviction moratorium will come to a close at some point, and that will impact many hundreds of thousands of families across the country. And so, yes, there are many advocacy opportunities. There are also opportunities if you're inclined at a both local, state, and federal level to say, perhaps the unhoused population could be vaccinated with priority. They are not currently prioritized, and it's a really difficult population to wait until they're age appropriate, I would say, or until they age into the vaccination window. So they're very direct, non-housing related, and also housing related. And others may know of other things, but I'll send a couple of easy links that I think are pretty regularly updated with opportunities as well.
Perfect. And the next question I think is for you too, Tiffany. How much unmet need is there, either in Boulder or Denver or Colorado, if you have that? Like, how many shelter beds are there versus the population in need?
That's a great question. And in Boulder County, we are remarkably fortunate right now. It's a tough question to answer because the unmet need is real. Every night, anyone who is in Boulder or Longmont could walk around town and you would see someone who is unhoused. That does not mean they do not have access to shelter beds, whether that's through Hope in Longmont or through the in-between or through Attention Homes or through the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless. Access to shelter exists. Accessing shelter does not happen for everyone every night. So there isn't an unmet need by bed availability, but there is always, and there always has been, there always will be a subset of the population that is unhoused and is really not suited to shelters. And so that will always be true. That's why street outreach is so important with trained individuals, and why case management being involved in street outreach makes such a difference, because you can move somebody from the street directly into housing. They don't have to go through shelter. So I can't speak to the entire state. We have unmet needs in some communities in the state. Boulder County is currently having their needs met because of expansion through hotel use. So we recognize unhoused individuals are often individuals with high health risks, comorbidities, and that can mean that it's really difficult for them to stay in a congregate shelter setting during this time. And so we have moved 25 folks into hotel rooms. It also expands our shelter capacity, which is important during the winter season, obviously. So that's also true in Denver, and that has made it so that there are, again, almost, I can say with almost certainty that if someone is seeking shelter in Denver, they have access. That is not true across, again, every community in the state.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Becca, are there any resources, books, movies that depict the narrative of people experiencing homelessness well that you would recommend for children?
That's a great question.
Or adults.
I'm gonna have to, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in the post comms email as well. There's several that I could just do some more research and find those links for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Terrific. Thank you. And then we've got, and Jeff Kinsey actually recommended a book from Eric Mead, which is also in the chat if anyone is curious about that. And then Maria Anderson and family have a live question. We're ready for you, Maria.
Thanks. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to type up the question and I was having a hard time figuring out how to write it. So I run a summer camp program, and one of the things we're adding in this summer is a give back day that we work on an activity or some kind of engagement that the girls who come to my camp are working on. And so I'd love to know what kind of group activities we could do to support your organizations. I think this is has been so wonderful. And I would love, because we're going to be doing it every week. So I would love to know what kind of opportunities or what kind of things you guys might need that they could work on easily. I work with girls K through 8th grade.
Great. Natasha, I'm going to chime in here because I have, we actually ran an event during COVID with some legislation in Boulder. And it's community cleanup. So I don't know if Tiffany and Laura deal with the same thing, but neighbors around our communities tend to feel sometimes it's tough, right? There's just some tension. So with the community cleanup day, it's great for all, right? You get the t-shirts, the hats, and you can do it mindfully if we are still in COVID this summer. But the kids would just walk the neighborhood and pick up trash, just clean up.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would definitely echo that. It is, and I mean, always wanting to be safe and mindful of what they may be finding as they're doing their cleanup, and being mindful about the conversation that happens with them around why it's important, because I think it is really important for the neighborhood, but it also is a really great opportunity to talk to youth about why there is maybe more in certain areas, and yeah, if you don't have anywhere to put your trash, what do you do with it? That sort of thing. So being mindful of the conversation is important, I think, but it's a great activity with kids.
Thank you. Laura, is there anything that you wanted to add before we get to our last question and final?
Sometimes we'll do community events. I mean, obviously we didn't do any last summer, but I'm hoping that we can get a little more back to normal. So, we do pumpkin carving, and sometimes the groups will come in to help with that. If you wanted to be a part of planning a community event for the families and kids, there are things like that that can be done.
I have just a real quick follow-up. Since I work with girls specifically, is there a need that that would support girls that are in your populations that might connect with our mission?
What is your mission?
Sorry. So we're a sports camp for girls. So we use sports as an empowerment tool. So our camp is all about teaching girls, giving girls as many sports as possible they can try and learn in a really fun and safe and non-competitive environment. So I'm just trying to add in other things that can support that. We talked about being strong in my body, mind, and team. And so part of that is also giving back to our community. And so that's why we're including that, this more like hands-on things. So the hygiene kits are a great thing that I'm probably going to have them work on 1 week. And then I'd love to know if there's anything that might support some of the girls in your programs and organizations.
I'll talk to our housing advocates and we should connect afterwards, and because I'm sure there's something fun that would be beneficial to the girls. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we have our last question from Amanda, and then we're going to have each of the nonprofits give us their 1-sentence closing. Each of the you got me. To Becca and Together, can you explain some of the circumstances that might lead youth 18 and younger to seek resources and housing outside of foster care if they don't have a stable home or guardian?
That's a tough question for me to answer. I would say that either it was temporary and they're just being bounced around and just couldn't find stability within the foster care system, which sadly happens, right? But that would definitely be an answer that our case managers could explain more in detail.
Wonderful. And with Becca, Tiffany, and Laura's permission, I will add, you actually have access to their email addresses because of the wish list. Go team. So if you have any follow-up questions, please direct them straight to Becca, Laura, and Tiffany, and I'm sure they will get you answers or connect you with folks who have the answers. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's have Becca, Laura, and Tiffany in that order say their final words, and then we'll have Illy and I say goodbye. Becca?
Thank you so much for joining tonight and for your support and for giving back, for caring. You don't have to, and we certainly appreciate it. And then the youth that we serve certainly appreciates it. Natasha, thank you so much for putting this together. I know it's so much work. And thank you guys for being a part of this community and helping to make a change.
And Laura?
Well, I want to say thank you very much to all of you for your caring concern for others. All the things that like these hygiene kits, and they really help people feel valued and like they're being championed to succeed. And that's really important. So thank you so much for what you're doing to help strengthen the people that are living here at the in-between. And just know that when you strengthen the people that are here, you're strengthening our whole community. Because when people are able to thrive, the whole community thrives. So even the smallest efforts matter. And I really thank you for the outpouring of love and concern. So thank you.
And Tiffany?
I hope I can get a sentence in. Thank you for your patience with Riley as my addition this evening. So I'll start with that, but also I will echo what both Laura and Becca have said. Thank you so much for your care and compassion, and honestly for engaging your kids in conversations and bringing this topic to them. I think it is really difficult sometimes to know how to talk about people who are unhoused or who appear to be unhoused that you may see on the street. And I think this is such an amazing opportunity for everyone in the community. So I'm grateful to you for not making this an adult only discussion, because I really think that there's so much to be gained by bridging that gap early and not having it be perceived that there are just those others. These are members of our community, and you are members of our community. And so we are the community. So thank you for making it a broad community.
Amazing. Thank you, Tiffany. And Illy.
Thank you so much to everybody for participating. The turnout was unbelievable. So I hopefully you get an even bigger turnout for each of the 3 organizations on your wish list, because this is just a wonderful way to start giving back, especially after this past year of being stuck inside. We've got lots of energy to give back. So thank you. And thank you, Natasha and Chai Charity, for helping out also, just getting everything set up and easily. I'm at a loss for words, but thank you. But for researching.
Accept it all. Thank you, Ellie, for trusting us to run a Chai for Charity for your people, and for running our very first of 2021. This was a terrific way to start our year strong. This was amazing. And a couple of things from me. Thank you, of course, to Becca, Laura, and Tiffany, and the remarkable work extraordinary work that you do. I mean, we're just overwhelmed by your awesomeness and completely obsessed with your organization. So I'm so happy to have worked with Illy to highlight you today. I also want to thank the Chai team. The Chai team is small and mighty. We've got Laura, everyone give a wave. Laura and John and Marissa, we're a 100% volunteer run organization, and we have the best staff team. Staff. We have the best staff. You guys are amazing, and they're the backbone of the work that we do. We couldn't do it without you. And then a shameless plug from Chai for Charity. So we are running 12 events this year. And several of them are already confirmed and on our website. So chaiforcharity.org/registration is where you can find several of the upcoming events. And we do have another assembly event coming up in April, where we'll be assembling kits. We'll be assembling creative learning kits for preschoolers and kids in early elementary education whose families wouldn't be able to afford some of the creative sensory things that our families can. So we'll be doing an assembly event in April. And then before April, we actually have a pets event that I told you about on March 14th, where we'll be actually celebrating our host's dog's birthday on March 14th. And we invite you to bring your pets to the event. Like today you brought your kids, next you bring your furry kids. And we have a couple other events. Please check out chaiforcharity.org/registration. And if you are ever interested in hosting an event for yourself, contact me at natasha@chaiforcharity.org. And I'm sure that Illy and Amanda and Jeff and a couple of other folks on the call who have hosted a Chai before would be available to talk to you if you ever wanted to talk to a host. Thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Just talk to a host about what the experience is like. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. I will follow up with an email. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you. Good to meet you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you.
Looking forward to that wish list. Yay.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Bye, Steve and Ellie. Bye, Natasha.
Bye, guys. Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Laura. Bye.
Bye, Jen.
Amanda.
Bye, Brandon. Bye, Chris. Hi, Judy and John.
Miranda, thanks for making it, India.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good night, everyone.